I connected over the fundraiser and so excited to collaborate. So she's here to tell us about how her fundraiser went.
Thank you. Thank you. So happy to be able to talk to you about this. It was literally a week and a day ago. Um, and so it's fresh and I'm super excited about it. Um, before we, for a while, it felt like we were sort of like creating this thing in a void. And then one day I followed somebody's hashtag that led to Potters Rise Up. And my mind was blown that there's all these people out there that are doing individual things, group things, to be, you know, active in this time and to really try to change the course of the way that things are going down. And I love that. So I want to tell you a little bit about what we did. Um, but first, let me tell you a little bit about how I got to this place. So I was a potter for, I was an actor for 25 years and simultaneously a potter. And at some point, about 10 years ago, I switched streams. So now I am fully a potter full time. And I'd been politically knowledgeable, but something happened during the last, when the new administration turned over and we were faced with this wall of contempt. And I saw one friend of mine on Facebook marching her butt off. She was marching, she was posting about it, she was raising the alarm constantly. And I sort of quietly lurked on Facebook and watched her doing this. And about 4 months went by, and finally I just had the sensation that I could do this. Why am I not doing this? And it became a very natural thing for me. And so I started uh, marching and protesting and posting about it on Facebook over and over again. And about, several months went by, and somebody that I knew said that I was the reason they had started protesting.
Mhm.
And when I thought about that and the chain of people, one person leading to another person, leading to another person to create action, I actually researched it and I came upon a study out of NYU in which they came to the conclusion that it was a study about social media, actually. They came to the conclusion that people who follow people who protest are more likely to protest themselves. Furthermore, if you follow somebody who follows somebody who protests, you still get the same effect. And that got me thinking that the more vocal we are, the more visual we are, the more we are in conversation with each other, the more likely we are to get the people who don't know how to join in to join in. So this is where Pots of the People comes in. About in March, my friend, Susan McBride, who is, well, I thought she'd be here tonight. She's doing
I'm
a pit
here.
fight. No, she can't be here. Are you
I'm
here? Are you
yeah.
here? Sweet. Hi. She texted me and said, hey, let's work something up. I think this is a moment that we can find something to do and apply ceramics to this moment. And we sat together in hi, Susan. We sat together in a cafe and started banging out the ideas of what would become Pots to the People, our organization. Our first event was to be called Seconds for the First Amendment. And that is because I felt that we should be selling our seconds in this moment. And the reason is, to me, it's a renewable resource. Every potter has a slow trickle of seconds that accumulates in the corner of their studio. Those pots are ready to sell now. Um, an esteemed potter who is more famous by far than anyone I know asked us, like, but why seconds? Can't we just do a sale? And I thought, yes, you sure can. This is what we're doing though. And the reason is it's ready now. So, not to mention, personally, I have been a lifelong perfectionist. Uh, I'm not proud of that, and it's actually my Achilles heel. And being able to introduce my flaws to the world has been so freeing. It's uncomfortable, I'm not going to lie, but it is freeing because invariably there's always someone who picks up one of your seconds and it is their new favorite mug. And if they like your flaws, why can't you like your own flaws? So, Susan and I decided that that would be the format. We would ask our clay colleagues for their seconds. We did. We started posting about it. We got more and more. Eventually, we thought this would be a Chicago thing only, and we started getting queries from other people in other places, and they started sending their mugs. Sorry, I should say we narrowed it down to mugs and cups for this first show because we wanted it to look, it's easy when you have 30 different artists for it to look a bit like a garage sale. So we thought if we narrowed it to just cups and mugs, it would have a more streamlined look. We got pots from California. We got pots from Massachusetts. We got a pot from Scotland. And that's when we realized that this was getting bigger than what we had ever dreamed it would be. We got our friend Amanda Seiler, who is a media person. She does graphic design, on board. Susan and Amanda had been the people who ran the Nasty Women. I don't know if you all remember the Nasty Women movement back from our first terrible Trump administration. Maybe Susan, you can talk a little bit about what that was, as I was not a part of that. Don't have to.
Basically, it was a show that curators in New York determined they were going to do right after the election. They did one, and then they encouraged people to replicate their model and kind of just do it to the extent that they wanted to do it. It could be small, it could be large. And so there were many nasty shows throughout the country. And the Chicago one was Nasty Women Art Chicago.
Yeah, which Susan spearheaded, and it was a huge, massive event. So with Susan and Amanda and I, Susan was fantastic at streamlining it in such a way where it was the least amount of work for us. We asked our potters to send us their however many mugs, say 3 mugs, send a bag for each mug, send some wrapping for each mug, so that we are not putting out a great deal of money to try to get this show up. The most important thing that we asked from our potters was to answer the question, what do you fight for? What do you march for? And we asked them to write that on a piece of paper, handwritten inside their mug, and include it in their donation, with the idea being that when the fundraiser was happening, someone would see a mug and they'd pick it up and they would be drawn to it for some reason, and then they would read the words inside, and that would further connect them to this piece that was human made and further humanize the thing that they've purchased. And hopefully those words would move them to start thinking about, what do they fight for? What do they march for? And every morning when they pull out that mug, they'll be reminded of the words of the person who made it. So that is a callback to that NYU study that I stumbled upon, where you're informing other people of your actions and inspiring them or seeding activism in them. So our sale was last week. We had hoped for 100 mugs. We got 160. We had 40 plus artists from many states. I don't know if I said this in the beginning, but it was all to benefit the ACLU, which is why it was called Seconds for the First Amendment. And we had a rep from the ACLU come, and his mind was blown at the energy and positivity and joy that was happening at this event. We sold out. We sold out 160 cups and mugs and made over $4,400 for the ACLU. And in retrospect, I truly believe that those messages inside the cups were the thing that elevated this from a fundraiser to a community action, to a conversation, an ongoing necessary conversation. Our event was done. We were thrilled. We were about hungover with activity for about 1 day, and then we licked our wounds, and then Susan and I got back together and started talking about next steps. It was always our intention after our sale to package our amazing graphic design work that Amanda did. She had logos. She made t-shirts. She had a whole bevy of social media graphics that we can implement as the days got closer and closer to the sale. All of the PR that happened, we had a PR friend that Susan named Sean Larry, who reached out to the Chicago media We had one great story in our local paper. I had a radio interview with Out Chicago, which is an LGBTQ centered radio show. And it was always our intention to take our kit of all this hard work we've done, of the errors that we've made and mistakes that we learned from, and then to pass it on to anyone else in the country who wanted to do something similar. And we've done most of the hard work for you. We have a list of awesome suggestions, do's and don'ts, so that if you, I mean, there's a lot of people in this group already have their thing going, and that is fantastic. But if you are looking for your in, we're offering a framework to do a Pots to the People show wherever you are. And I want to tell you that it can be as big or small as you want it to be. It doesn't have to be what we did. We had volunteers, friends, neighbors who came to help us, helped people check out with their QR code to the ACLU. It could be so much smaller. It could be as small as one shelf in the back of your art fair tent that is relegated to seconds. And there's a QR code there, and the person can pick up their mug and be like, I really like this. Oh, it's going to the ACLU, snap the picture, pay the money, and it can be that small. I should mention that I keep talking about QR codes. It's because this is a sort of great way that we came up with of accepting no money. So we are not indebted to the IRS. Nobody's coming to us for taxes. No money is passing hands with us at all. When they come to our sale, there's a QR code there next to the mugs, or there's a volunteer who has the QR code on a clipboard, and we help them go directly to the site, pay their $25 for each mug, and then they go off to get their mugs wrapped, and they're out of there. It was a joyous, exciting event. Most of the people were just passersby, and we had to spend a lot of time explaining what we were doing and why. My very favorite moment was this young woman came up, and obviously she just like stumbled upon us, and she was sort of like standing on the periphery and trying to get the gist of what was going on. There's QR codes, there's pieces of paper inside mugs. What is this? And I said, we are doing a fundraiser for the ACLU. And she was like, mm-hmm. And I said, every single mug has a message inside from the person who made it, telling you what they are fighting for right now. And she went, and jumped forward and reached for a mug, and then read all of the mugs. So I think that's about all I have to say on this. I've never had to talk about it off the top of my head without somebody questioning me. So if that was choppy, my apologies. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer them. Or Susan, if you have anything that I have forgotten and you want to chime in, have at it. But if you are interested in, just reading about what it would be like to do your own Pots to the People event, however big or small, you can email us at info@potstothepeople.org, and we can send out our sort of welcome kit, which explains how we do it, what was great, what sucked, what we could do better, and again, all of the tools that we've amassed through this experience to help you out. And that is what I have to say.
Can I go first?
Yeah.
So I am so excited. This is so amazing. And your presentation was fabulous. So not choppy, not anything. It was perfect. It was perfect and perfect. And yeah, I'm very excited. Okay. So I'm going to put in the chat room, your email. So just so I have it right, info@potstothepeople.org.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
If you stay on, you'll see I'm also doing something, but you gave me some great inspiring ideas. So
real quick, a question in the chat was, were the mugs priced, and what was the suggested donation medal?
Yes. We decided, again, harkening back to Susan's sort of call to arms, like make it as simple for us as possible. Already this thing took over our lives, and that was with us streamlining. So we decided we would not be pricing mugs. We would not be dealing with stickers. It would be a flat rate, a flat donation of $25. And there have been some questions by people who are like, $25 is nothing. It should be more. But psychologically, $25 in our region was the sweet spot because people not only took, they're willing to donate 100. So they took 4 mugs, which means fewer mugs for us to take home, which is great. They often, many of them would donate above the requirement. And then we would have this cowbell and we'd ring the cowbell and say, somebody, donated more than the $25. And that sort of gave a spirit of like joy and participation. So I would say if you're going to do this event, figure out what is the right amount for you. The fact that they are seconds helps with the price point. I had 3 seconds of my own that I'd been trying to sell in my own shows, and they were priced less, and I could not sell them at my shows. But at this event, they flew off the shelf because there's some alchemy of doing something good for the ACLU, doing something good for, your local ceramics community, and this conversation that you're having from potter to owner. That for us, $25 was the sweet spot, and we're not thinking of changing that anytime soon.
But I think one thing to add is that, this is how we did it, but you're welcome to change it up and follow the model that works for you. And if you're like, no, I want to do seconds, but it's cups, bowls, it's all tableware, that's totally up to you. I think the idea, similar to the Nasty Woman shows, was just to say, here's how we did it. These were our best practices, but it's yours, so that you just go do it. And you don't really have to we're happy to answer questions or whatever, but there's no set of rules. I think the only thing that we really felt very strongly about was that this was not to be profit for like personal profit. And so that, that the monies raised are going to an organization. That's just part of our ask for those who
sure.
like to do it in the future, that it's not monetized on a personal level.
And in addition, thanks for reminding me, Susan, I didn't say this. It could be whatever organization means the most to your community. It does not need to be the ACLU, although God knows they need our help and you're welcome to do the ACLU. But it could be, seconds for fire relief. It could be seconds for Planned Parenthood. It could be seconds for, women's rights, gun control, whatever it is that is moving you right now and that you want to lift up. Have it, take it, it's yours, and make it happen.
And with that, when you're doing a transaction legally and someone is giving you money, then you are supposed to collect sales tax for that and then report, and it gets complicated. And I know that from the experience of doing the Nasty show. It ended up starting a 501c3, opening a bank account, doing all of these logistical things that were really pretty intense. If you are going to represent an organization, ask them for a direct donation, so that you can create your own QR code and have a direct donation link. And that way you're exempt from, and then if someone wants like a tax letter, they get it from that organization. And so it very much takes you outside of the tax liability issue. And as small business artists, we know that can get complicated at times. So my big recommendation is try to do this in such a way that you don't have cash in hand. Or credit card fees or all that stuff. That's just, you'll be busy with too many other things. You don't need that one.
Edna Lee, did you have your hand up again?
I do. I will ask it. So I am doing a fundraiser as well. And we have $4,000 that people have given me to match for the charities.
Mm-hmm.
So Susan, in terms of not having money coming in, I am having that 4,000 come in that I then am using my credit card to donate to the ACLU, et cetera, et cetera. Do you see any just big problems with that?
Not necessarily off the bat, because it sounds like it's come to you as a lump sum.
Yeah.
So that you could just put that up as,
then.
Yes.
Yeah, again.
But I guess what I'm talking about more is, when you're in a location and you are creating a transaction like you would at a craft fair or somewhere else, that, you have some liability to whatever state you're in on income tax level. So that's why having a direct donation is a lot easier. Do you have something to add to that, Lesley?
You might also look in Chicago, we have an organization called Lawyers for the Arts. So if there's anything similar where you live, where it's usually lawyers that work pro bono to figure out questions like this for artists, you might just ask and make sure you're covering your bases.
I want to say that in your talk, I teared up several times, like around the messages that you asked the Potters for. That is so special. And then the cowbell, like imagining just ringing a cowbell when people donated, it's just really, really moving and so beautiful.
Thanks. It really, it was the best selling experience I've ever had. It was so connected and communal. It felt great. I think I can share my screen and show you the video. Do I dare? I'm so bad at this. This is from Instagram, so forgive me if this goes south. I'm not a natural at this. Here we go.
Yeah.
Do you see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's this one. And
Will you put the link for that into the chat for us? Because I know I saw it myself with my own eyes, and the sound is better, and
all right, now I totally don't know how to unshare.
I think there's a stop share.
I think at the top.
Help!
Um,